What are the different terminologies related to welding? Welding is basically a joining process in which a permanent joint is made, and this welding is basically used in automobile bodies, aircraft bodies, railway wagons, machine tools, structural works, tanks, boiler, general repair work, and shipbuilding. Everywhere in mechanical work or civil work, we use this welding. Welding is basically a joining process in which we join similar or dissimilar metals with or without the application of pressure. But the main source of welding is the heat. Heat is must, and with or without the application of pressure, and with or without the application of filler material. It means in welding, heat is the necessary part. Without heat, we can't do welding. So heat is the necessary part of the welding. But in some welding, pressure is also applied, and in some welding, filler material is also used. In this animation, you can see this man is doing a welding, and in his hand there is one electrode holder is there. Electrode is placed in electrode. With the help of this electrode holder, electrode, and the power supply, this man is doing a welding. Now we will discuss about the different types of welding. There are basically two types of weldings are there: pressure welding and the non-pressure welding. Pressure welding is also known as the plastic welding. प्रेशर वेल्डिंग को हम प्लास्टिक वेल्डिंग के नाम से भी जानते हैं. नॉन प्रेशर वेल्डिंग को हम फ्यूजन वेल्डिंग भी कहते हैं. प्रेशर वेल्डिंग को प्लास्टिक वेल्डिंग क्यों कहते हैं? व्हाई प्रेशर वेल्डिंग इज नोन एज प्लास्टिक वेल्डिंग? Pressure welding is known as plastic welding because the piece of metal to be joined are heated to a plastic state in this welding. Basically, in this pressure welding, whatever the metal we are joining, we heated that metal up to a plastic state and then forced together by some external pressure. That's why this welding is known as plastic welding, because they are heated to a plastic state and finally they are forced together by some external force. So this is also known as pressure welding. Example of the pressure welding is the resistance welding. You know these are different types of resistance welding are there: spot welding, seam welding. Now the second is the fusion welding or the non-pressure welding. Non-pressure welding is a welding in which only heat source is used, no pressure is used, and the non-pressure welding is also known as the fusion welding. In this welding, fusion welding, the material is heated to a molten state and allowed to solidify. The different example of this fusion welding or non-pressure welding are gas welding and arc welding. Now we will see different classification of a welding process. Arc welding can be classified by the carbon arc, metal inert gas, tungsten inert gas, plasma arc, submerged arc, electroslag. सेकेंड हमारे पास है गैस वेल्डिंग. गैस वेल्डिंग को भी हम डिवाइड कर सकते हैं ऑक्सी एसिटिलीन, एयर एसिटिलीन, ऑक्सी हाइड्रोजन. Resistance welding is of different types like butt welding, spot welding, seam welding, projection welding, percussion welding, thermite welding, solid state welding. In solid state welding there is a friction, ultrasonic, diffusion, explosive welding are there. There are some newer welding are also there, like electron beam welding and the laser beam welding. With the help of this electron beam and laser welding, we can do a very accurate type of welding. And some related processes of this welding processes are oxy-acetylene cutting, arc cutting, hard facing, brazing, soldering, etc. Now we will discuss one by one these different types of welding. First we have a arc welding. In this animation में आप देख सकते हैं, this is the electrode holder. Basically this is basically a welding generator. With the help of this welding generator or this electrode, we are melting our electrode, or we are melting our this filler material. Electrode is placed inside this electrode holder. This is the electrode holder. Electrode is placed inside this, and from outside we are providing this filler material. This filler material is melting, and with the help of this melting of this filler material, the two metal pieces are joined. The different equipments generally we used for this arc welding are welding generator, DC or AC. Two cables we use, one for electrode, one for workpiece. Protective shield, we also use gloves, wire brush, chipping hammer, goggles. These all are the equipments used in the arc welding. In this figure, you can see this man is doing a arc welding. In this arc welding, there is an electrode holder is there, and in electrode holder we have placed this electrode. This is the electrode, and this is a protective shield, gloves. These are the necessary part of welding whenever you are doing welding. Arc welding equipments you have already seen. Electrode holder. In electrode holder we place the electrode, and when we just put our electrode near to the workpiece, and the workpiece have some supply like AC or DC, and another piece of terminal is attached with this electrode holder, then this short circuit may be occur. This circuit may be completed, and because of this the arc is generated. This arc is the main source of welding here, because of which this metal melts, and we can join the two workpieces. Like metal arc welding, in this figure you can also see this is the metal arc welding. And in metal arc welding, suppose that there is one electrode is there, and there is a flux coating of electrode is there. So when this electrode melts, so first electrode melts, then flux coating is melt. Arc welding we use basically for metals. Arc welding is the most common method of welding metals. Arc welding जब भी हम करते हैं तो आर्क वेल्डिंग के डिफरेंट टाइप्स होते हैं हमारे पास. एक होता है कार्बन आर्क वेल्डिंग. कार्बन आर्क वेल्डिंग क्या करता है? इट प्रोड्यूसेस द कोलेसेंस ऑफ मेटल्स. इट मींस द इट जॉइंस द मेटल्स, मेटल को जॉइन करता है बाय हीटिंग देम विद एन आर्क बिटवीन ए नॉन कंज्यूमेबल कार्बन इलेक्ट्रोड एंड द वर्कपीस. So arc is basically produced between an electrode and the workpiece. And in carbon arc welding, electrode basically we are using is a carbon electrode. This carbon electrode is a non-consumable electrode. So whenever we are using a non-consumable electrode, so we have to use some filler material separately for joining of workpieces. If the workpieces thickness is more, then we have to use the filler material. If the workpieces thickness is less, then there is no need of using the filler material. Nowadays, the carbon arc welding is totally replaced by a newer arc welding, which is known as twin carbon arc welding, in which basically we use a pair of carbon electrode. Arc welding has some advantages, some limitation. It is the most common type of welding that we used everywhere. Arc welding में अगर देखेंगे तो सबसे ज्यादा जो कहीं भी आपके घरों के आसपास जो यूज होती है वो आर्क वेल्डिंग होती है. आर्क वेल्डिंग इज द मोस्ट एफिशिएंट वे टू जॉइन मेटल्स को हम इसको ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. इट इज द लोएस्ट कॉस्ट ज्वाइनिंग मेथड है, एंड इट अफोर्ड्स लाइटर वेट थ्रू बेटर यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ मटेरियल्स. इट ज्वाइंस basically all commercial metals we can join with the help of this arc welding, and it provides design flexibility. Limitation of this arc welding is this, that the labor cost is high and need high energy, causing danger, because we need the AC and DC power supply, and it sometimes become dangerous. Not convenient for disassembly. Defects are hard to detect at the joints. There are some defects occur, and that defects are difficult to find in the arc welding. So these are some advantages and limitations of the arc welding. Now we see the comparison between the AC and DC arc welding. AC is the alternating current. Whenever we use the AC power supply, we generally take from the transformer. AC current, alternating current. AC arc welding is the more efficient, power consumption is less, cost of equipment is less, but the higher voltage is there in the alternating current, this AC arc welding. Whenever the AC arc welding has a higher voltage, so it is generally not safe, and it is not preferable for thin section because it's have a high voltage, and it is also not suitable for the non-ferrous metal. For non-ferrous metal, for thin sections, we generally not use this AC arc welding. And any terminal can be connected to the workpiece or electrode, because it's the AC arc welding, so polarity goes change. Means sometimes when in one cycle there is electrode is positive, in another cycle electrode is negative, so polarity is keep changing. Another one is the DC arc welding. DC arc welding, basically DC, direct current we obtain from the generator. and this DC arc welding is less efficient as compared to our AC arc welding. Power consumption is more, cost of equipment is also more because we are using a generator here, and but it is safer operation because the low voltage is there. Because of this low voltage, we can use this welding for a welding of thin sections. We can also use this welding for the welding of ferrous and non-ferrous metals. And in this welding, basically in direct DC arc welding, the positive terminal is connected to the workpiece and negative terminal is connected to the electrode. Gas welding. Gas welding is basically, in gas welding, we usually three types of flames we use. Basically, the oxygen and acetylene. These are the two substances we used in gas welding. By changing its ratio, we produce different type of flame, and with the help of this flame, we weld our every type of material. If you see, the temperature generated during this process is almost 3300 degrees Celsius, and by selecting the proper size of flame and the filler material and the method of moving torch, we can weld any type of material in this gas welding. Gas welding, in gas welding, metal is fused, oxygen from the atmosphere, and the torch combines with the molten metal, forms oxides, results defective weld. Fluxes are added to the weld metal to remove oxide. Because the oxygen we are taking in this welding, we are taking from the cylinder, and some oxygen we are taking from the atmosphere. Some oxygen we are taking from the atmosphere, and from the atmosphere, these are different oxygen, different oxides may be joined with this workpiece. We have to remove these oxides. For that, we have to use the flux. So flux is basically used for removing this oxide layer. Common fluxes we used in our gas welding are सोडियम, पोटेशियम, लिथियम एंड बोरक्स. ये हमारे पास कॉमन फ्लक्सेस हैं जो हम जनरली यूज करते हैं ऑक्साइड की लेयर को हटाने के लिए. फ्लक्स कैन बी अप्लाइड एज ए पेस्ट, पाउडर, लिक्विड और सॉलिड कोटिंग और गैस. तो फ्लक्स को हम डिफरेंट वेज में प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं इलेक्ट्रोड के ऊपर. नाउ वी सी द गैस वेल्डिंग इक्विपमेंट. Gas welding equipment, you can see in this figure, there is one pressure regulator, there is two cylinders are there. Black cylinder is for oxygen, maroon cylinder is for acetylene. Acetylene is C2H2, and these two hoses are there, hoses or pipes are there. There is a needle valve, there is a welding torch. The mixing chamber is present in this torch, and in this mixing chamber, this oxygen and acetylene mix and different type of flame is produced. This pan is doing a gas welding, you can see in this figure, and different types of flames that I have already told you. There is three types of flames are there: oxidizing flame, carburizing flame, and the neutral flame. In oxidizing flame, the amount of oxygen is greater than C2H2. Amount of oxygen is greater than C2H2 acetylene, and since the amount of oxygen is more, so temperature produced is very high. Temperature is the maximum 3400 degrees Celsius in this flame. There are basically three types of flame, and the temperature produced maximum in this type of flame, oxidizing flame, because the oxygen is present in larger quantity here. And this oxidizing flame we use for welding of brass and brazing operation. Next we have neutral flame. Neutral flame में oxygen and acetylene have the same ratio. Oxygen and acetylene दोनों को हम 1:1 के रेशियो में यूज करते हैं. टेम्परेचर प्रोड्यूस जो होता है 3200 डिग्री सेल्सियस में यूज होता है. इससे हम वेल्ड कर सकते हैं एल्यूमिनियम, कॉपर, कास्ट आयरन. कार्बोराइजिंग में क्या होता है, ऑक्सीजन इज लेस देन, ऑक्सीजन का अमाउंट जो होता है एसिलीन से कम होता है और 3000 डिग्री सेल्सियस का टेम्परेचर हमारा प्रोड्यूस होता है. ये डिफरेंट फ्लेम्स आप देख सकते हैं जो मैंने आपको बताया. नेक्स्ट हमारा गैस कटिंग है. गैस कटिंग को जनरली हम क्या करते हैं, जैसे अगर हमें पियर्सिंग करनी हो, ग्रूव बनाने हो, तो वी कैन यूज द गैस कटिंग. हम कर सकते हैं. गैस कटिंग में भी टॉर्च होती है, बस की टॉर्च जो होती है इज समथिंग डिफरेंट फ्रॉम वेल्डिंग. नेक्स्ट पार्ट में हम इसका पार्ट 2 डिस्कस करेंगे जिसमें हम सोल्डरिंग और ब्रेजिंग के बारे में डिस्कस करेंगे. थैंक यू.